The San Francisco 49ers, one of the more historical franchises with 5 Super Bowls, has seen recent success that seems sometimes unbelievable, with a quarterback that you don't even know you can call him like a Pro Bowler or a superstar just yet, but with one of the more deadlier offenses and one of the deadliest defenses of all time. Now, I have to say, San Francisco is extremely impressive, but when it comes to fantasy, are they one of the top dogs in fantasy? Let's find out. Hello everyone, my name is Aaron and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Team Review for the last time this year. In this series, we take a look at each and every 32 NFL franchises and see what they offer for fantasy football. Here we analyze the team's quarterback, running back, wide receiver 1 and 2, tight end, and starting kicker. Our goal is to look back to last season and ask, are they worth drafting? And if so, when and where? Today, we end off the entire series and the NFC West with the San Francisco 49ers. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers quarterback. Everyone knows him as Mr. Irrelevant and now Mr. Relevant. The Niners went through 4 quarterbacks last year in the entirety of the season, including the playoffs, but Brock Purdy, who nearly went undrafted but was the final pick in the NFL draft, took over after Jimmy Garoppolo's injury, and was he near perfect? Because he only lost 1 game last year, and that was in the playoffs against Philadelphia. Otherwise, he didn't lose a single time, so he is somebody who is a complete winner. But does that resonate to fantasy stats? Let's take a look at his stats. In the 9 games he played, he was 67.1% with completion. That's tied for 9th. He had 1,374 passing yards. That's 34th. 13 touchdowns. That's tied for 26th. To 4 interceptions. That's tied for 71st. He had 128 total fantasy points. That's tied for 31st. So obviously, we're going to have to see more of the stats, but he has such a loaded roster around him that it's hard not to draft him. But based on my rankings, he's on that thin line of would I draft, would I not draft. I'm going to go ahead and say that somebody's going to draft him, and I believe there will be a good amount that will draft him. So yes, he is 22nd on my list, and that means he would be a quarterback 2 at best or a high free agency pick, but he would most likely, I only say most likely, would end up somewhere around the rounds 10 through 13 if you were going with a really late quarterback pick. But I think what really helps is just the core he has around him, and he's able to make a lot of good plays. If you go back and watch his highlights against Seattle, in Seattle, that guy can make some plays. He's incredible. But yeah, I think that there's going to be a really big second year for Brock Purdy. Let's just hope that he can, stay out of the injury warnings asterisk risk. Christian McCaffrey, San Francisco 49ers running back. Oh, am I looking forward to this? One of the most notable trades that happened midway through the year. Christian McCaffrey to San Francisco. What a move by the Niners to do this, because they got potentially the best running back in the entire league. As a matter of fact, get ready till you hear my ranking of him. But his stats last year, oh geez, take a look at this. Okay, this is the most lines I've ever had to produce when making or putting the stats together under the new font and artwork. He played 17 games for both the Panthers and the 49ers, played a little bit in that Kansas City game, so I gave him 17. He had 244 carries, that's 9th. 1,139 rushing yards, that's 8th. 8 touchdowns, that's tied for 12th. He also had 85 receptions, that's 17th. 741 receiving yards, that's 45th. And 5 touchdowns in the air, that's tied for 34th. He also had 1 pass for 34 passing yards and 1 touchdown against the Rams. That gives him 341 total fantasy points. That's second among all running backs. He had a foot in almost every single statistic you could have asked for. And because of that, my goodness, how can no one draft this guy? He is ranked first among all running backs. Now, you can be interchangeable with Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry if you'd like, but McCaffrey just has more in his arsenal. And he's done it for a little bit of a longer period of time, just consistently putting up so much big numbers. And if he's the first overall pick, it would not shock me. He is that great of a player. I see him being drafted in round one. I don't see him going lower. It's round 1. And yeah, he's just, oh wow, phenomenal. The Niners really have something in the running game this year. Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver 1. However, you know, one of the big names that goes around San Francisco is Deebo Samuel. And the year prior to this previous season, he was undoubtedly one of the best players in the NFL. And I made a trade to get him, and that trade really hurt me because he did not produce as I thought he would. Last year, he played 13 games. In those 13 games, he had 56 receptions. That's tied for 66. He had 632 receiving yards. That's 58th. He had 2 touchdowns. That's tied for 111th. He had 42 carries. That's tied for 92nd. 232 rushing yards, that's 84th, 3 touchdowns, that's tied for 44th, and he had 161 total fantasy points, that's tied for 36th. Do I think those stats will stand this next season? I really hope not, and if we are able to keep a consistency at the quarterback position for the 49ers, then you can see the stats for Deebo Samuel go up this year, which would be huge. He is actually a wide receiver 1 and 2. He's ranked 10th on my list. Therefore, he is somebody I would draft. I believe he will be drafted in rounds 3 through 5, somewhere in that miniature range. He is still so lethal, both in the passing game as a receiver and the rushing game. And I think, man, we talked about McCaffrey being great in both the rush and the receiving game. And that's the same thing with Deebo Samuel. They have a lot of players like that. And I can't wait to see what the Niners are able to do this year, but I just hope Deebo has a better year than last year. Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver 2. But on the flip side, there was major improvement with Brandon Ayuk. And Ayuk last season has shown that he is inching closer and closer to being an elite wide receiver, and I think he's just nearly there. Last season his stats were great, and when you hear about what's going on in training camp, as training camp has begun, he seems like the most unstoppable wide receiver out of every team so far. So I'm going to take a look at his stats very quick. Last year he played 17 games, and in 17 games he had 78 receptions, that's tied for 22nd, 1,015 receiving yards, that's 22nd. He had 8 touchdowns, that's tied for 11th, and he had 220 total fantasy points, that's tied for 14th. He played extremely well, though Deebo Samuel did not play extremely well. So he carried a lot of the load along with George Kittle, who we'll be talking about in a little bit. So the passing game for the Niners seems to be set. A great receiving core, and Niners have a lot going for them. As far as positions, I have him ranked 26th on my list. And I believe he is a wide receiver 2 or 3 right now. It looks like to be a 3. Therefore, he is somebody I would draft. I would see him being drafted after round 5, but no later than round 9. I would say 5 through 9 is a good spot for Ayuk. And I think that he's going to be a really good slot receiver this year as well. Just the touchdowns need to stay up. And if that happens, he is game. And whoever has him will be pretty successful this year. George Kittle, San Francisco 49ers tight end. Now, I know he's not the best tight end in the league, but he is my favorite tight end in the league, and as a matter of fact, I'm wearing his jersey. I'm a big George Kittle fan. I just kind of like his style of football. It's pretty fun, and last season, I was pretty shocked to see his stats. Like, I didn't expect him to actually have this good of stats. He played 15 games last year, and in 15 games, he had 60 receptions, that's tied for 51st, 765 receiving yards, that's 42nd, but 11 touchdowns, that's tied for 3rd and 1 less than Travis Kelce. That left him with 194 total fantasy points, that's 3rd among all tight ends behind Kelce and Hawkinson. So, of course, George Kittle has always been up there as one of the big boys in the tight end position. Like, must drafts, he's always up there, and there's no different change. In my list, he's second ranked, which means he's absolutely somebody I would draft at tight end 1 in rounds 4 through 7. He is an early round draft tight end. Not as high as Kelsey, who can be drafted literally in the first round, but he is still somebody who is just like extremely like, you must draft this guy. He is so fun. His game is extremely entertaining, which makes him a very likable player. So if you're a big George Kittle fan, I can understand. Go after him. Jake Moody, San Francisco 49ers kicker. In this division, we had one really good kicker, an older veteran, one rookie, and another rookie, this time a drafted rookie. And now, the only reason why I know Jake Moody is I like to listen to college football hype videos, and anytime you watch Michigan, you know about the 7 Nation Army chant, and I heard his name one time throughout there, which is pretty cool. Jake Moody is actually a very impressive kicker statistically. In college, he was 29 for 35 in maiden attempted, that's 82.9%. He was 100% from extra point percentage. His long was 59 and he had 147 points. He was drafted round 3, pick 99 from Michigan. So I believe he is somebody who could be on the rise, but again, it's rookies. I'm not going to immediately say, oh, I want to 100% draft this guy. Like, he is somebody I would not draft. He's not even ranked on my list. Therefore, I'm not really paying attention to the rookies. I want to see the veterans. But if he has a really good year and is starting to pop off, then go into free agency and pick him up. But yeah, I am pretty excited because this is a new chapter for the Niners in kicking. Robbie Gould's gone now, and hopefully Jake Moody can live up or even be better. And that'll do it for today's episode, and that will do it for the series as a whole. We've reached the end. And it's been pretty fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you want to go back to watch all the episodes, I have a podcast playlist, and I have a playlist specifically for all these episodes alone. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification to see when future episodes go out. And share this with many people. I want to see people like take in all this fantasy data and use it however they like. It would be pretty fun to see. From now on, so for the last 4 weeks, I had 4 episodes per week. That number is going to go down to 2 because school's on its way. My last semester's on its way. Jobs are on the way as well. And, I want to be able to get out content that I know I will get out. I don't want to focus on putting out 4 episodes if I know I can't put out 4 episodes. So the next 2 videos, one will be like another episode for the fantasy football team review, but it's more inclined on all the defenses in the league, and it'll be piled up in a tier list. And then the second episode will be based on fantasy and how I draft and what skills you can use when you go drafting. But then we're going to start getting closer to the college season and the NFL season, and then we're going to have 2 episodes, one being for college and one being for the NFL. It's going to be very fun. And yeah, that'll just be it. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, all those pages, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So have a great day, take care, and goodbye.